today I will be showing you how to make this Mickey, and you'll need about 50 black rubber bands, 24 flesh, 34 white, 50 yellow, and 31 reds. So let's get started. First, we'll make the ears, and you'll need a holding instrument to put some things aside. So for the ear, taking a single black, starting at the top of our loom, we're creating that triangle, and I'm doing it like my mouse ear. So take in a single, double it, and put it on either side. Taking another single, double, putting it from the second side to the center third, single, double, and finish on the other side like that. Push it down a little, don't let them overlap. Taking a single, double, and this is a holding rubber band, we're putting it across from the second peg to the second peg. We're taking another single black, the ears all black, we're putting it from the first to the second, and go ahead and pull the holding rubber band, the top, right up to the second peg in the center, and loop that peg up onto itself, creating the teardrop. And let's take a single rubber band, and we're going to loop it 3 times to create 4 loops for the tip of our ear. And you'll have to make one on your own. I'm going to show you how to do one, and you'll have to pause the video and do the other one. So what I went in here was I went in, grabbed the top 2 single and looping it onto itself, and went back in, grabbing the last 2 single and looping it onto itself, and you should see teardrops on either side. And let's finish up the side, reaching in the second peg, grab the bottom 2 and looping it onto itself, and then the side and looping it onto itself like that. Continue on both sides, and now you're ready to take it off the loom. Just carefully using the back of your hook. Don't break your rubber band, it shouldn't be that tight. And take your holding hook, this is my first ear. And again, you'll have to pause the video to make your second ear. And like the mouse's ear, it's going to be, there's a slight hole in the center, just pull up the bottom or the center and it'll fill it and stretch it out. And once you've done that, let's make the arms. So I'm taking 2 single blacks, and I'm coming, and you'll need to do this twice. I already done one on my own. So taking 2 single blacks, and we're coming down a total of 3 times like that. That's his arms, and if you want to make it longer, you can. This is the length that I have it. And now I'm going to make the glove part. So taking a single white, I'm going to double it, and anywhere on your peg, we're not going to connect it. So I'm putting it from this one to that one, single, double, coming down once, so that's what you should have so far, single, double, coming down parallel of the other one like that, single, double. I'm making the mitt of his hand so that way it looks like it's a closed hand. So that's what you should have, 2 single that was doubled on parallel to each other. And now we're closing the mitt off. At the top, we're closing it diagonally from that peg to that peg. Taking another single, double it. And this is the holding rubber band for your mitt. So you should have a total of 6 rubber bands right now. Looking like that, if you can't see it. And now we are going to cap the tip off. We're looping it 3 times, and that should create 4 loops. So that's what you should have, a total of 7 rubber bands. And now we're going under the cap band, the very bottom. Reach in, grab the top 2, and looping it onto itself. Go back in that same peg, grab the next 2. Make sure you see teardrops as you go up. just keep looping up for your mitt. And finish the other side. So your mitt part is now ready to come off the loom. And from this part on, we're taking a hook and grabbing all of our mitt and getting it right onto the hook like that. So that's the closed part of his fingers. And now we are making the thumb part, and it will all be on the hook. And we'll do that right now. And again, you'll have to make the other one on your own. So making the thumb part, you can make it shorter. I'm choosing to make it this length, but if you don't want it this length, go ahead and make it shorter. So to make the thumb, you'll take a single rubber band and looping it 3 times to create 4 loops. Taking a single, double, get it on your hook, and pulling those rubber bands onto the single we doubled. That's what we have so far for a thumb. I'm going to make it 1 more length. You can keep it this short if you want. Take a single, double, and pull it right onto your hook like that. And now to put it together, we're taking 2 single rubber bands, white ones, getting it on our middle finger and our hook. Give a little bit of tension. Pull your thumb on and slide, get those 2 single rubber bands, get everything onto the 2 single. So that's what you should have right there. Your mitt and your thumb right on to the 2 singles. Now we're taking a single rubber band and looping it twice to create 3 loops like that. Taking a single, double it, and getting the 3 looped rubber bands onto the single we doubled. Sliding, we are moving everything onto the single we doubled. So now moving our glove and our thumb part and the mitt onto the single we doubled, just one side. Grab the other side. I don't have any fingernails, so I can't slip my finger. So I'm going to grab it with my thumb and my index, take my hook off, put the other side, the hook onto the other side, pull it through, and push your hook right back into the original loop you took it off of. So there's your mitten, or the closed hand for Mickey. And we are now putting it right onto our arm. So would be the 4th peg from the top. Once you've done that, let's go ahead and loop up, creating teardrops as we go. And take it off the loom and put it aside for later. And you should be able to just leave it on the side. And what I did here was I added a little cuff on his mitt or his hands. So I'm taking a single, and you can always fix your loose rubber band later. Take your single, and you should fix it. And loop it once over your mitt to create the cuff. And just pull it straight onto there. So there's the cuff for his mitt or his hands. Now let's make his feet. You want to pause the video to make your second one. And once you've done that, come back and make his feet. For the feet, we're starting with 2 single red rubber bands from the center of our loom, the first to the second, and we're coming down once, or total of 2 with the reds, 2 single reds, taking 2 single blacks now, coming down twice. And now we'll do his feet yellow. So taking 2 single rubber bands from the center 5th and we're going diagonally. Again, 2 single rubber bands, coming diagonally on the other side. Now we're taking a single, double it, and putting it connecting it from the side, down 1, single, double, on the other side repeat. And now we're making his feet slightly wider towards the end. We're taking 2 single rubber bands and putting it on either side. And we're going to close off his shoes. It's going to be big enough. Taking 2 single rubber bands to close it off. And push it down because we'll have to loop it up later. Taking 2 single rubber bands, we'll come down the center of his shoes. And we'll loop. The end peg there, we'll loop it off 3 times to create 4 loops. Now we're taking a single rubber band, double it. These will be the holding rubber bands, creating the triangle here. Single, double, triangle there. That's his shoes. Now if you want the shoes to look like this, and if you want to make it smaller, you can just single, double everything except the middle, and it'll make it slightly tighter. The shoes will look like this. But if you want to make it a little smaller, Mickey's shoes are pretty big if you look in the picture, the Disney pictures. But if you want to make it smaller, you can single, double these ones, and even the front ones, but leave the center, the 2 single rubber bands, and it'll make tighter and smaller, but that's your choice. So now we're going to go under the cat band, grab the top 2 single, and very carefully looping it onto itself. Go back in, grab the next top 2, very carefully looping it onto itself. Just keep going, and I like to do the sides first. You can do the center if you want, but coming up the sides, just looping everything right onto itself to that center peg where the leg starts. Working on my other side. And if you have any tension, release it. It also evens out your rubber band. And now everything's to my center where the foot starts. Reach in, grabbing the bottom 2 blacks and looping it onto itself. And let's take our shoes off to put it aside for later, and you'll have to pause the video to make your second shoe with your foot. And you should be able to just set it aside for later. So there's your shoes, and again you'll need to pull it and fix it so that way the rubber bands are even and it's not sticking out. You don't want any loose rubber bands to show. This is pretty tight, so you might not want to make it any smaller. And my other one is about the same. So let's make Mickey. We're going to start with 2 single black rubber bands coming down the center for his head. So from the first center to the second center, 2 single black diagonally, and repeat on the other side. And we'll come down, we'll push it down. We're coming down 2 single rubber bands twice on both sides of his face. And repeat on the other side. Now the center of his face, we're using the flesh color, taking 2 single rubber bands, and we're coming down like that. Now taking 3 single rubber bands, we'll take it from the side to the center, and we want to push it down. This is our chin peg. You want to push it down, make sure it doesn't overlap. It won't be that hard because we'll have a neck, but we still want to push it down because we have to loop it up later. So another 3 single rubber bands on the other cheek to close up the face, and we'll do 3 single rubber bands down the center of his face like that. Let's make his mouth, and I made it protruding like so, and we'll put it aside for later. So taking 2 single rubber bands, we're not attaching it, we're coming from the center peg down 1 with 2 single rubber bands. Now taking 3 single rubber bands, we're coming down the side like that, and repeat on the other side. Now come down taking a single, double it. We'll put it for the front of his face or his mouth to his nose, single, double, to there. So that's what you should have, don't let it overlap. Taking 2 single rubber bands and closing up his nose area. That's what you should have right now. And taking a single, and this is very important, we want to make his nose pointy. So from this peg to that peg, we want to loop it. The flesh color rubber band here that I have from AC Moore is very stretchable. So we're going to loop it 3 times, or twice, to create 3 loops. So you should be able to do that easily with the flesh color rubber bands to make the nose, the tip of the nose, tighter. And we're going to add his nose, taking a single rubber band, black one, looping it 3 times to create 4 loops. If you want it sharper, you can do 4 to create 5 loops. Taking a single, double, and pulling the loop to rubber bands onto the single we doubled, and add it onto that last peg like that. So that's what your nose should look like, or the top of the nose. And now this acts like a cap band. So we're going under, grabbing the top 2 single, hold down our nose, and looping it up, and just continue up onto itself. Again, go back in, grab the next top 2, looping it onto itself, reach in, grab the bottom 3, very carefully looping it onto itself. And you want to release any tension. Again, this evens out your rubber band, so it's good to do that. Reach back in the nose, grab the last 2, looping it onto itself, and finally on the other side, looping the last 3 single right onto itself. And we want to put it on a holding hook for later. Let's take off the tip of our nose. So there's our nose, and we want it to be straight, and we can fix it later as we're putting it on. And let's finish his body, taking 3 single black rubber bands for the neck. Continue down from the chin, 1. Now for his shoulder, taking 2 single rubber bands, coming diagonally. Repeat on the other side. And we'll come down twice with 2 single rubber bands for his body. We don't want it to be too big. Repeat on both sides. And now we'll do his pants, taking 2 single reds, coming down twice on both sides, and closing his bottom off diagonally. Again, push it down on both sides like that. Come down the center of his body with 2 single rubber bands. We'll come down twice with 2 single blacks, and we'll finish the rest off of his pants with red, 2 single reds. So it's coming down 3 times. And push that down, make sure it doesn't overlap. We're taking a single and looping it 3 times to create 4 loops. Let's add the buttons of our pants. So taking a single white and loop it 3 times to create 4 loops, and we'll do that twice. Single white, loop it 3 times to create 4 loops. Now we're taking 2 single reds and pulling the looped whites onto the 2 single reds, and these reds will act as a holding rubber band for our pants, and we're putting it on the second peg from the bottom across. So that's the buttons to his pants, and we'll split them out. So that's what you should have for the buttons for his pants. Let's add his feet onto, or his legs onto the foot peg. Put it on either side. Pull it down and add his arms, putting your hooks through the loops. And it's up to you whether you want his thumbs up or his thumbs down. You want the thumbs down, you want it towards facing the body. If you want it up, you want it facing towards you or away from the body. So add it onto the shoulder peg, and it might turn in any direction it wants anyway, so again, put it on your hook through the loops and putting your fingers, arms right onto the shoulder peg, like so. Let's put some more holding rubber bands, taking 2 single blacks, and we're putting it across the chest area, 2 single reds, put it on the upper pants area. Let's add the ears, taking it off our hook and adding it onto the ear peg on either side. And make sure you get all the rubber bands onto that ear peg, otherwise it'll come apart. Let's make the eyes, taking a single black and looping it 3 times to create 4 loops. We're making the eyes, the white of our eye, extra big. So we're taking 2 single whites and we're looping it twice on one side and twice on the other. So that's one eye. Again, the other one, same thing, taking a single, looping it 3 times to create 4 loops, taking 2 single whites, looping it twice on one side and twice on the other. And we'll take a single black and we'll get our eyes very carefully transferred onto our single black. And try to keep it in that order. That makes our eyes look nicer. Again, get the other one onto there. So there are my eyes, and let's add it to the second peg from the top. And again, the eyes are very important, and you want to get it to look right, so you really want to keep it in the order that we looped it. And you can always fix it later. So let's start looping up. Go under the cap band where his bottom is. Grab the top two single, looping it onto itself. Go back in, grab the next two. Wherever it goes, take it there. If you see the teardrops, take it where it goes. Repeat on the other side. And we want to release any tension. Go under, grabbing the bottom two, looping it onto itself. Just go up. I'm doing my sides first, all the way to my neck peg. Pull back any rubber bands, only grabbing the bottom two. And again, you want to see teardrops up and down your creation. And if you have any tension, don't force your rubber bands, it'll break. And all the rubber bands that I'm using are Rainbow Loom rubber bands. Now that I've done my sides, I'm going to loop up the center of his body all the way to his neck. You want to also check to make sure I have teardrops everywhere before I go on. I'm at my neck. Now I'm going in, grabbing the bottom three and looping it up and onto the chin peg. That's my neck. Reaching in, grabbing the top two. Should go up to where my nose peg should be. And I should see teardrops. And it should be actually 3 rubber bands. So I'm going to take my third one, go back in, grab the next 3. If you can't see it, push down the bottom 3. And you should see nice teardrops forming on your face. And finally, the last 3 single onto itself. And release any tensions so it evens out your rubber band. Push it down, because now we're adding the nose area. So for here, the first side, there should be 3 sets. And the first set should have 6 rubber bands. And where you want to put it, where your nose is pointing up most, upwards. So we're adding it to these 3 pegs on the face. So the first set would be 3 single rubber bands, and we want to get it, all the rubber bands, onto that left peg, like that, and we don't want it twisted or anything. And the next set should be 4 single rubber bands in the center of his face. So we want to straighten it out and slide over the peg very carefully. Make sure all your rubber bands get on there. And the last 6 on the right onto the right peg. So these 3. And you want to check to make sure it's not twisted or anything. So our face is on. And let's loop up the sides. Go under, grab the bottom, and looping it onto itself, the bottom 2 blacks. Go in, loop up to the ears, go in the ear peg, grab the bottom 2, looping it to the forehead. Repeat on the other side. Make sure you don't loop up the eye. rubber bands. You want to get all the way under, grabbing the bottom two, looping it onto itself like that. And now I'm ready for the center of my face, reaching all the way to the bottom, grabbing the bottom two, looping it onto itself, and finally my forehead. And now I'm ready to take them off the loom, taking your single black, go all the way under, grabbing your single, the other side to create your slip knot, and tying it off like so. And now he's ready to come off the loom. There's our Mickey. We want to fix his buttons and pull his legs and his arms down. It should be pretty good the way we have it. Push out his eyes, fix his ears, pull him out, tuck in his charm string if you want. And again, the eyes are the most important. You want to make sure you get all the whites around it and getting the black on the inside so it looks right. You can fix his nose and his cheek rubber bands so it's all even, so you don't have any loose rubber bands sticking around. I'm not going to mess with it too much, but that's your Mickey. I hope you like him. Thanks for watching.